friend. Welcome back to the Daily Spark. I'm James.
And I'm Leo. Let's learn something fun today.
I woke up this morning with a tiny scratch in my throat.
Oh no, have you been drinking ginger tea?
Gallons of it. Nothing serious, really. But it made me think.
About what?
When I feel sick, I can just rest. I can stay home and recover.
That is a really nice feeling. Just pulling the blankets up.
Exactly. But for so many people, a sore throat is scary. Taking a day off is not an option.
That is so true. It brings up a huge, heavy topic.
Healthcare. Just hearing that word makes people stressed out.
Right. People think talking about health and rights is too hard.
They think it sounds like a college lecture.
Like you need a medical dictionary just to watch the evening news.
That fear is completely normal, but we are going to simplify it today.
Because talking about health and human rights in English is much easier than you think.
It really is. It is just about basic human needs.
It's about taking care of each other.
Exactly. We will give you the words to join this conversation naturally.
So let's get right into it today. Have you ever worried about getting sick just because of how much it might cost?
Oh, wow, that is a heavy question, but it is such a real one, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, it happened to me last year.
Oh,
I was hiking in this beautiful forest and I slipped. I completely sprained my ankle.
ouch. Ankle injuries are the absolute worst.
They really are. But you know what's crazy? My very first thought was not about the pain.
Really? What was it?
My first thought was, oh no, how much is this going to cost me?
Wow, that is so telling. I think that panic is completely universal.
Exactly. Instead of asking for a doctor, your health suddenly becomes a math problem.
Right. You sit there rubbing your leg, looking at your wallet, and trying to figure out if you can just walk it off.
Yes, I was literally sitting in the dirt thinking, maybe if I just wrap it in ice, it will magically heal.
We laugh about it now, but it's a serious issue. Money sits like a dark cloud over our health.
It really does. And it changes how we make basic decisions. Like, should I go to the clinic or should I buy groceries?
Nobody should have to make that choice. Today, we're looking into a big idea. The idea that health is a human right.
Exactly. Health is not a luxury. It's not a prize just for the rich.
It should be like clean water. You shouldn't have to earn the right to feel healthy.
Beautifully said. But you know, talking about this in a second language can feel a bit scary.
Definitely. You might worry about using the wrong words, or maybe you worry about sounding too political.
Right, so today we'll break down the English phrases you actually need.
We'll focus on the human side of the story. No confusing medical terms.
Just real talk, phrases that help you share your own experiences clearly and calmly.
So you can join the conversation with confidence.
You know, last winter I slipped on some icy stairs. My wrist swelled up and hurt so badly. But honestly, I waited 3 whole days to see a doctor.
3 days? Why on earth would you wait?
Well, I kept thinking, it is not an emergency. I felt like a doctor visit was a luxury, like a fancy spa day.
Oh, I see. You felt you had to earn it. You didn't treat health like one of your basic needs.
Exactly. And that brings us to our first phrase today. Basic needs.
Food, water, a safe place to sleep, and yes, health. When you say basic needs, it feels very heavy. It feels completely non-negotiable, like gravity.
Right. Health is not a prize you win for working hard. It is just the foundation of staying alive.
It's a need, not a reward. Think about that for a second.
I love that. We also use the word basic for simple things.
Like basic math, but here, basic means absolutely essential to survival.
Which leads right into our next big phrase, have the right to.
Yes, everyone should have the right to good health.
Notice the deep emotional weight here, guys. Saying you have the right to something feels fiercely protective.
It's not a polite request or asking for a favor. It means absolutely nobody can take this thing away from you.
I used to hear it only in cop movies. You know, you have the right to remain silent.
Very funny. But seriously, It's about equal human value, equal access to doctors no matter who you are.
That's a great word. Access. It means you can actually reach the help you need.
Exactly. A hospital means nothing if you cannot access its doors.
Try using access tomorrow. You can say, I finally got access to the gym at work. Simple and powerful. So true. So how do we use this new language tomorrow?
Well, here is your practical tip. Use have the right to at work. If it's freezing, say, we have the right to a warm workspace.
Oh, I like that. It sounds much stronger than just complaining. It instantly makes your voice sound powerful and confident.
Speaking of feeling confident, you lose all that confidence when an envelope arrives. You see a hospital logo on the paper, your heart just stops completely.
Oh, I know that awful dread. Let me guess the vocabulary word. Do you call it a doctor receipt?
A doctor receipt? I mean, that sounds so cute and harmless.
Right? Like you just bought a nice warm cappuccino. But no, it is absolutely not a receipt. It's a medical bill.
Exactly. And trust me, a medical bill is never, ever cute.
A medical bill feels heavy. It always feels like sudden bad news.
Right, a receipt is just happy proof you bought a nice new shirt. But a medical bill feels like a very scary demand for money.
Sometimes it's money you honestly do not have in the bank.
You hold the envelope. You tear it open so slowly. You close one eye hoping the total number is super small. You've been there, right?
Well, those final numbers can be truly terrifying to see. Which brings us to our next important key phrase.
That's right. Sometimes we say we can't afford to pay it.
This phrase feels like a heavy, solid door slamming shut.
Yes, it means you lack the money. You're completely blocked out.
You just want to prevent a small illness from getting much worse.
But you can't get access to a good doctor because you simply can't afford to pay the high clinic fees.
Saying I can't afford to feels like being totally trapped. It is not about being lazy. It is a hard, painful limit.
It is like looking through a locked window at medicine you desperately need.
Exactly. It is a very frustrating and helpless feeling.
So, here is your practical tip to use this phrase tomorrow.
Practice using can't afford to for your everyday, simple budget choices.
Tell your friends, I can't afford to eat out at a restaurant tonight.
It politely shows you are setting responsible limits with your own cash. But what happens when the cost is way beyond skipping a simple restaurant meal?
That's the scary part. Nobody can afford a massive emergency on their own.
So who actually pays the doctors? That's a huge global debate.
I firmly believe the government must take responsibility for it.
Honestly, I prefer saying communities should provide care for people.
I disagree completely. Provide care sounds a bit too soft.
And take responsibility sounds way too strict and cold.
Well, let's ask our friends who are listening right now.
Which side of the debate are you on? What would you say?
Let's look at how those two phrases actually feel.
Take responsibility for carries a heavy, serious emotional weight.
It really does. It feels like putting on a heavy backpack.
Exactly. You are officially in charge of the final outcome.
It means stepping up to fix a very serious problem.
You are acknowledging a public duty, like managing city water.
Now, contrast that strict feeling with the phrase, provide care.
That one feels entirely different, does it not?
Yes, it feels warm, like wrapping a blanket around someone.
It's about direct personal help, not just signing checks.
You know, nurses provide care. Loving family members provide care.
But maybe the city takes responsibility for the basic funding.
I see your point now. Both are truly necessary.
We need both concepts to ensure equal treatment for everyone.
Maybe there is a broken swing in the local park.
Ask yourself aloud, who will take responsibility for this mess?
Or ask, how can I provide care to my neighbors?
Either way, you are practicing powerful, real-world English phrases today.
You know, providing care for neighbors usually means reacting to a sudden crisis.
True, like bringing hot soup when someone catches a terrible, nasty cold.
But what if we stop that cold before it even begins?
Now that is a completely different way to look at health.
In many cultures, visiting a clinic means you're already feeling awful.
Oh, completely. I mean, you only go when you physically cannot move.
Right. Waiting until you're miserable is the old way of thinking.
But modern medicine really tries to flip that mindset entirely.
Doctors want us to focus heavily on preventative care instead.
Let's break down how preventative care actually feels in daily conversation.
Well, it feels deeply proactive. It's like checking your car's oil.
Yes, you check it to prevent the engine from completely dying later.
It's a basic maintenance step to protect your expensive vehicle.
And it ensures you always have reliable access to daily transportation.
Saying preventative care feels like putting on a sturdy, invisible shield.
I love that. You are gently protecting your future self from serious pain.
That cautious mindset leads perfectly into a very common, useful idiom.
Ah, you mean the classic phrase, better safe than sorry.
I honestly use this phrase almost every single day.
How does it actually feel when you say it out loud?
It feels like grabbing an umbrella on a slightly cloudy morning.
Exactly. It feels comforting, wise, and highly prepared.
You mean the classic phrase, better safe, highly prepared. You make a tiny, cautious choice now to avoid deep regret later.
I dare you to use this excuse tomorrow for something incredibly silly.
Like packing 3 extra pairs of socks for a short weekend trip.
Yes, just look at your heavy suitcase and say, better safe than sorry.
So, think about your own daily habits tonight, friends.
What is your personal preventative care routine going to be tomorrow?
Maybe it is just drinking a tall glass of fresh water.
Or taking a quick 10-minute walk to keep your heart strong.
Remember, a tiny bit of effort today saves a massive headache tomorrow.
That headache is so much worse when a doctor ignores you, though.
Oh, that is the absolute worst feeling in the world.
Let's put you in a very frustrating scenario for a second.
You are sitting in a crowded, noisy clinic waiting room.
You've been waiting patiently there for 3 entire hours.
Then, a guy in a flashy, expensive suit walks in.
He skips the line and the nurse sees him immediately.
Just picturing that makes my blood boil.
Because we all deeply crave fairness when we're vulnerable.
We expect equal treatment from the people healing us.
That phrase, equal treatment, feels like a warm safety net.
It means the exact same rules apply to absolutely everybody.
No secret VIP passes, no special favors for rich folks.
It's the only way to prevent corruption in healthcare.
Exactly. The staff should help you regardless of your status.
Regardless of is such a strong, fiercely protective phrase.
I love how it sounds. It feels very defiant, honestly.
Yes, it acts like a heavy shield against unfair judgment.
It boldly says that outside details don't matter at all.
You deserve care regardless of what you can afford today.
Or regardless of what neighborhood you happen to live in.
If a nurse helps a CEO and a student the same way,
that is true equal treatment, regardless of their job titles.
You know, fairness matters. I bet you figured that out already.
So, here is your practical goal for tomorrow, friends.
Notice when someone demands special favors at a store or cafe.
Quietly remind yourself that everyone deserves equal treatment there.
Or tell a friend, I support you regardless of your mistakes.
It is a beautiful way to show you truly care.
Let's move on and review what we've learned.
Yes, it is time to recap our new vocabulary. Let's gather up all those brilliant new words we just learned today.
It is time for the word review. We want to make sure these words really stick in your mind.
Exactly. First up, you might have heard us say access.
Think of access as finally finding the golden key to a locked door.
Yes, you are standing outside in the cold. Then you get access. You are suddenly allowed inside where it is warm.
It feels like pure permission. It's a very welcoming word.
For your use it tomorrow moment, try using it at the office. You can say, I do not have access to that computer file yet.
Perfect. Next on our list, you might have heard us say basic.
We talked about basic needs earlier in the show.
Basic feels like pouring the strong concrete foundation for a new house.
It is not the fancy decorations, it is not the beautiful paint on the walls.
Right. Without basic things, everything else simply falls down. It's the absolute starting point for life.
How can our listeners use it tomorrow?
Keep it very simple. Tell a hungry friend, I only have basic cooking skills, so we're just having toast.
I would happily eat your toast, James.
Thank you. Moving on, you might have heard us say afford.
This one brings up some very big feelings. We mentioned the phrase can't afford to earlier.
Afford is that nervous moment of checking a price tag, then you feel the warm relief of knowing you have enough in your wallet.
Or it's the heavy stress when you don't have enough.
To use it tomorrow, let's take it completely away from money.
Oh, good idea. You can say, I have a big test tomorrow. I cannot afford to lose any more sleep tonight.
I use that exact excuse all the time. Next, you might have heard us say prevent.
Imagine watching a full glass of water slowly slide towards the edge of a table.
Oh, I completely hate that anxious feeling.
Me too. Prevent is when you quickly reach out and catch that glass. You stop the disaster before it happens.
It feels very smart and proactive. You're stepping in early to protect yourself. For tomorrow, try giving some friendly advice. Taking an umbrella will prevent you from getting soaked in the rain.
Very useful. Finally, we reach our last word. You might have heard us say equal. We talked about how everyone should have the right to equal care.
Equal is like slicing a large pizza perfectly. Nobody gets a tiny slice.
Nobody gets left out feeling hungry or ignored.
It feels deeply fair. It feels incredibly balanced and safe.
Try using it tomorrow when splitting costs with friends. Just say, let's divide the dinner bill into equal parts.
We have covered a lot of ground today.
We really have. And I know talking about big issues in English can feel scary.
It can feel like you're walking on thin ice.
But remember, you don't need perfect grammar to share your heart.
That is so true, because talking about healthcare and human rights in English is much easier than you think.
It's just about human connection.
Exactly. So here's your challenge for this week.
Try using the phrase can't afford to tomorrow.
It doesn't have to be about money. You can say, I can't afford to miss my favorite show.
Make it your own. And we want to hear from you.
Tell us in the comments, what is one basic thing that always makes you feel better when you're sick?
For me, it's chicken soup. Always.
For me, it's silence and maybe a good book.
We cannot wait to read your answers.
Next time, you know that frustrating feeling when you have a brilliant idea in your head, but the moment you try to explain it to someone else, the words just vanish into thin air. We'll help you fix that.
Oh, I hate that feeling. I need that episode.
It's gonna be a good one. Thank you for spending part of your day with us.
Keep practicing, keep talking, and be kind to yourself.
This has been the Daily Spark Radio. See you next time.